What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. I am your host, Kendra Jennison, with this handsome man right here.
My name is Mark.
Mark. You can call me Mark.
This is my highest voice.
Ooh. Anyways.
July 27th, 2015.
July 27th, 2015. I was getting out of the military.
I was...
To that exact date,
right,
actually.
That's why I brought that up. So I know that, like, you got done serving in Afghanistan and all the shit that you were doing in your life.
I was in it.
You were out of it, actually.
I was in it for a while, and then I got out of it. Yeah. They're like, hey, do you want to re-up? I said, hell no.
And July 27, 2015 was the first day of my comeback. It's actually the inception of the idea in my mind that just quite possibly I could not be a fucking loser.
What a powerful day that was for both of us.
Yeah, it wasn't powerful, though.
It was very dark for you.
Right. And since we're on the couples podcast, this one might be a little bit more. I just wanted to share the journey with you because of the day, right? We just got done doing a...
Let's talk about that. We'll talk about your journey, the day, and how many little things that tie into both of us. Because I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We have a boatload of things that are like weirdly coincidental.
I'm gonna give for the people that you hold that thought. Cool. I'm gonna give somebody... I want people out there right now that think that the minute that their life... So this is straight out of the gate advice from somebody who's literally spent hundreds of thousands, probably close to $1 million on my self-development over the past 7 years, and put in thousands of hours of self-development and creating this life. I want every person to understand that the minute you stop drinking, doing drugs, overeating, cheating, beating, whatever the fuck surface level bullshit you're going through, your life doesn't get better, right? It doesn't just fix itself. Because today, 7 years later, I was presented with but presented with another opportunity as I was out looking at the lake, the very lake that I looked at 7 years ago. Only I wasn't in Williams Bay, I was on this one over here. And as I was staring out at the lake, contemplating my life and looking back, not much has actually changed. I have more money, right? I have a lot more money. I have a business. I've helped over 10,000 men.
You're winning.
Got married.
Yeah.
Got married to a wife and have 2 new daughters. I'm a great father to my son and to those girls.
You have a farm. I
have a farm, house, cars. I've created apps, tools, wrote books. Like, I've done a lot of cool stuff, but the reality is life is still fucking hard every day, and it's full of choices. And the choices are no different right now than they were then. That's what I want people to understand. The pressure isn't it's more now than it was then, actually. My life was crumbling at that point. Now I'm building, and the pressure is the same. So somebody out there that's hoping that things are going to get easier, quit fucking hoping and start doing. And start making the right choices for yourself. Now that's just something I wanted to give to these guys, girls out there who listen to this thing, like, out of the gate. Because this morning when I had that, I wrote a letter to my team basically telling them, look, if we can't fix shit the way that things are going, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah, you did.
Right. It doesn't mean I'm quitting or anything like that, but like,
what's that one saying where it goes something like, it never gets easier. You just get stronger, or you get smarter better. And you get better.
And here's the thing. That's a great point before we get into it, right? I have got better in every single area of my life. I was contemplating when I was walking, have I just outgrown my team? And that's a hard thing to do when you actually love everybody around, right? Like, you have some sort of unique love for every single person. And you're like, damn, dude. Because then you start asking yourself questions of, am I just really ungrateful? Am I just really unhappy? Am I really just...
Is anything ever going to be good enough?
Is anything ever going to be good enough? And those were questions I was asking myself as I was walking this morning. And I'm like, but why would I play a small question like that through my head? Why is that tape? Why is that story going through my head? If this is truly my life and I'm going to live it and I have more potential to give, why do I keep climbing? And that there creates that gap of separation. Anyways, 2015. So this one went all over the place. So why don't you tell me, you got out of the military?
I like where you're going with this whole conversation. So let's just talk about.
Well, the cool thing about this is we can do another day on what you want to talk about, the similarities and commonalities of why we're together. But what do you got? What are you thinking?
Well, I was gonna kind of be on that subject of it. Life never gets easier, especially when you want to do really big, audacious, bold, brave, awesome things in your life, right? Never gets easier. You only get stronger. You only get smarter. You only work harder and harder and harder. And actually life sometimes, seemingly just watching you on your very intimate, close journey with everything is like, it's like life hits, like you hit hard and then life hits back harder.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Right. It's like, it's at least in my journey for me, maybe I'm just a hard learner. I don't know. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's just the pattern of choices I make, the people I keep and surround me with, the family that I have. Like, I don't know what it is, generational curse. Like, you can look at whatever it is, but the reality is that when I get up, every breath that I take, I'll take 3 steps forward and fucking 10 steps back.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to like kind of touch base on, like the topic, the too stupid to quit mentality. I know that's what you like to say all the time. I'm just too stupid to quit. But even for me, right? Like, we don't have to go into details about like all the hardships that I have either put myself through or that have happened in my life. And I say put myself through because I have a brain, I can make my own choices. But, you know, from having 2 children by the age of 23, I was married to the girl's dad by, what age was I? 21. Got divorced, was in the military. I was in fucking war. And I think it's really important to say because I didn't realize that people had this like, oh, Kendra was in the war, quote unquote. She was just a pencil pusher. First of all, I was definitely not a pencil pusher. And I was like really in some shit. So, and I only...
Shit that you never talk about.
Shit that I never talk about.
I hear about it when you're dreaming.
But yeah, that's horrible. But going through that, the divorce, living on my own and quite literally having to buy brand new clothes and house stuff at Goodwill or taking free furniture because it was what I could afford. Losing my little brother passing away. Few weeks later, months later, my dad passing away. Just a lot of really, like I said, hard shit.
I just want to keep going, but I just want to clear it up because we get some fact checkers out there. It was about a year and a half later that your dad died. So
yes.
So they're not saying you're like trying to like downplay on it and make it, but yes, go ahead.
Well, if anybody's doing that, you suck. Anyways.
Well, I just always want to make sure because you know,
you're right.
Like,
People do that.
We got people close to us. Oh, they're looking to catch us in a fucking lie, right? There's people out there looking to catch us in a lie.
If you're that person that's looking to catch us in a lie, you have way too much time on your hands anyways. But yeah, just life never gets easier. Even when life is going really good. Mark and I were literally going to get married. We had not just moved in together. We were doing life together. Literally 2 weeks about to get married. About to close on a 34-acre farm. And boom, 2 weeks before we get married, my father passes away. Just like time and time and time again. And what does that teach you? What does that... Imagine if for a second I was continuously focused on the idea that I'm never going to be good enough, or life is just going to be hard anyway, so I'm going to give up. I'm just going to sedate myself and drink. I'm just going to do these drugs because, like, what a sad, sad way to live through life, right? And I think so many people do that because the reality is it's harder to face reality a lot of the time because you know life never gets easier than it is to sit there and sedate yourself.
So it's an interesting thing too, because I know that life doesn't necessarily get easier, but I believe it does at some point. Like, life is uncontrollable and unexpected, but why I work so hard is somewhere inside of my mind, I believe that all this is going to pay off someday. And I'm like, dude, you've arrived.
You want to know what? I'm just going to, for so many people that meet me, that meet us, they're like, oh my gosh, like you guys are just so strong. You guys are
power couple.
Hashtag power couple, right? No, you guys are just so strong. You've been through all the things that you've been through. You're just so strong. And I never really see myself in like this light of like, oh yeah, I'm so strong. And I say that because we are so wildly optimistic and positive about life, no matter what shit we've been through. And that takes more strength sometimes.
And I think too, part of the reason why I don't look at myself like I'm that strong.
Right.
Right. Like,
we're just
dumb,
like naively
resilient, I guess. Yeah. You could say that stuff, but like, I have like feelings about people that I believe people are capable more than they're actually like leading on to. Like, people are really truly capable of doing some big shit in their life, and I can see it for them, but they can't see it. Therefore, if I can see it, they just haven't been able to unlock it yet. So I'm not that much further along. Right? I don't really think that. And then I get it and people are like, oh, your story's crazy, blah, blah, blah. My story's crazy because I made it crazy.
Right.
Or my story's crazy because like I got off on the shock factor that I could do shit, that I was two steps ahead of the police, that, right? Like I'm manifest, not even the right word. Not fabricate, that's not, because that's a lie. I created, like, I founded this crazy fucking lifestyle. So how do I say I'm strong when I know I made those choices? Right. That's why people who drink, in my opinion, are like, and then want to be victimized about disease, and they're just, you fucking made the choice, dude.
You made a choice. I'm going to share a story just because we're on that power of choice. I remember very specifically, and the only reason I really remember is because it shows up every year on this day on Facebook, like your memories. Anyways, I had made a post and I was clearly in Afghanistan. We had a computer room with like these massive, just like brick computers that if we weren't, it had like 3 computers, right? And it was like a big ass antenna. Anyways, that's what we got. And clearly I was having a very, very bad day. Probably got blown up that day, whatever, right? So I made a post that said something along the lines of, if all I had to worry about was taking an exam, something.
You've told me about that.
Yeah, if all I had to do was take an exam this day, I don't know, something along the lines of like, that would be like the easiest thing in the world. So quit your bitching. And I think I had said that because I was scrolling through a lot of my friends at the time went the college route. I clearly went the military route. And they were all like, oh, exam week, it's so hard. And I was so upset because I was just like, you guys are pussies. Like, you have to take a test. I'm getting here blown up. And I remember being so upset by a comment that was put on there. He was actually my friend, and I'm actually glad he said it till this day. But he said, listen, you chose to go the military route. We chose to go the college route. That doesn't mean that our shit's any lesser or you're like, and I read that and I remember in that moment I was just like, you effing suck. Like, you don't know anything. Just sit behind your little desk and drink your fucking Keystone whatever. Like, I was
Bush latte.
Oh my God, I was just so upset. And years and every year that like post would come up and I would sit and I would reflect on it and I was like, you know what?
He was right.
That son of a gun was right. Like,
that's an interesting thing though too. He was right. But so though, even when you dissect that, like, of course there's anger. You made a different choice, but it's more of a, in my opinion, a noble choice because I believe in freedom.
Sure. Right? But where I was going to go with that is, even though clearly it was 2 different choices, yes, he chose, in my opinion, an easier route. You wanted to play it safe. No, I'm just kidding. Good for you. You probably got some awesome degree by now. I don't even know.
Sorry, you're probably still paying for that degree. Yeah.
But I still could have had that mentality of like, victim mentality of like, oh, my life is so hard. Life sucks. I'm never going to get better. I'm just always going to view life as it's always out to get me. Every choice that I am clearly making, oh, life is just out to get me. Oh, it's the worst, right? I still could have had that. But for whatever reason, I sat and I chose massive, massive self-awareness, self-reflection, looking at somebody else and been like, you know what? He was right. And that was really hard for me to accept. I think it's really hard for a lot of people to like take a step back and see things from another point of view, aside from like what they're already thinking, and be like, dang, you know what? I am being a sensitive Sally right now, and this man has got a point. I got to shift my shit and I got to change because I'm sitting in this victim negative pool set. And if I truly believe that every choice I make is out to get me, I'm going to be seeing a lot more of that in my life.
I grew up in a household that everyone was out to get. I mean, it's like, I'm not denying it. Like, my dad and my mom are super victim. Most people in my family are super victim mentality, if I'm being fucking straight honest.
I'm going to plead the fifth on this one, but I'm just going to agree with what you're saying.
And, or that everyone's out to get them or they owe them or whatever. So I look at the mind. I look at some of the things that, I mean, these are people that I love and care about, and like all about, it's just everybody, like people, almost everybody I know in my family. And doesn't mean they're right or wrong. It's just the way that they think, I guess. And I remember back about choices about just around drinking. I'm going to talk about that, right? I remember, because I always believed in the power of choice, but I never truly owned the power of choice. Sure. So what I would do is this. I remember my mom like yelling at me like, why can't you just drink normal? And like, and I would be like, you don't get it, Mom. Like, because of you, I got this disease from you. But the reality was I didn't believe that. But what I was trying to do, that was my choice, so that I could fucking blame it on myself so I could go get fucked up.
People want their shit validated. Right. So you're like,
I will, I sell. I'm a salesman, right? I was
selling yourself.
I was selling her on like to leave me the fuck alone, blaming my shit on her, knowing that clearly the choice I wanted to make was to go get drunk because I enjoyed those choices. Yeah. I enjoyed the cesspool of life, the drinking at night, the partying, the not coming home, the unshowering, the stupid shit that I did. I enjoyed it. I just didn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Right. And I find like inside of the men that I work with, you know, there's 3 reasons why they drink. But the third one, which I'm not going to go into, but the third one is that they just fucking like it. But nobody wants to be like, yeah, I love getting drunk. Right? I love getting fucked up and forget about my responsibilities. I've said this before. If I could live fucked up on crystal meth, you wouldn't divorce me. I could make millions of dollars and be a good dad. I'd be absolutely all in on that.
Yes, you've said that many times.
I enjoy the way I feel. I like it.
Yeah.
I fucking feel like God. I don't know what God feels like, but I imagine that's what he felt like. The problem is there's repercussions and things that happen. And you can't do that.
I agree. Yeah. And what's funny is if we're talking, but you're talking about like an alcohol mindset state of like you genuinely just like to get effed up, right? A lot of people without realizing it, when they speak these negative or the poor me's or they want to complain, the reason that they like it, and I don't even think they realize that they like doing it, is because they're getting attention somehow, some way from it. So yeah, maybe they don't necessarily like talking negatively, but they like the attention that they're getting from other people from it. Typically other people who are also complainers and negative, and they just want to sit in like this cesspool of like, your life sucks. Oh man, me too.
It doesn't even have to, yeah,
you
right?
know what I mean? But they like it, and they're never going to admit that.
Misery
loves company.
Loves company.
That's exactly what that is. Yeah.
That's interesting too. Like I can remember this vision I have of my mom right now screaming at my dad in this tiny little house that we lived in. And she was telling him misery loves company, but then she was the miserable motherfucker. Right. And like, it was the same people. I don't know what that has to do with anything here, but,
misery loves company.
Misery loves company. Back to today though, right? So, I mean, 2015, July 27, 2015, when I embarked on this journey, man, I didn't set out on this thing to even be sitting here today. Like it wasn't the plan. This wasn't in the plans for me. I didn't ask to build this thing that's been created. I didn't ask for any of this stuff. It just kind of developed. I did it for a choice, which is for Phoenix, right? To give him a father that he deserved more than me. I like to drive home things. Now today, when I was contemplating the questions and the things that I do as I stack my F's and do my stuff in the morning, I was asking myself the same question. Like, what do I want from today moving forward? Like, here's what I've accomplished in 7 years. What do the next 3 years look like? And I thought back about my family, and it's interesting, you know, because even when I take a bunch of steps forward and some back, every time I come back or move forward, I collected some more people that actually fucking care about me. So the momentum and the weight on my shoulders got bigger and bigger and bigger, but it still boils down to one thing. What does Mark want? Just like it matters for, like, what does Kendra want?
Right.
What does Ryan want? What does fucking Joe want?
Joe Schmo want?
What does anybody want? And I wanted to drive home the message that sometimes these underlying feelings and emotional connections to stories inside of your head or things that happened in the past or reasons why you feel you owe people or just trying to do the right thing when even though the right thing is fucking hard, that if you're going through some pressureful situations right now, you always have a choice.
You always have a choice.
You always have a choice.
I think it's really, really massive and important for people to practice some self-awareness, right? Because what does Kendra want? I could say that I want, $10 billion and I want to be massively happy and I want to live on a beach. But if I'm living and my repeated patterns are I'm being negative and I'm not putting in work and I'm not practicing self-development and I'm just being a POS and I'm living like poor me, you're never going to get that. You're never going to get what you want. So when you're asking yourself, what do you want? Are you ready to be the person that person is going to take for your future? That's a hard question for a lot of people to answer because so many people are going to sit there and they're going to be like, well, I've been trying. No, you haven't. You've just been so addicted and so obsessed with your old negative, disgusting patterns that you can't even have enough self-awareness to be like, oh, wow, I need to probably change this about myself so I can be that amazing person I want.
Yep. I'm heavy right now studying in real estate. Like there's no denying the next chapter of our life for what we want to do. I want to go on to hold billions of dollars of real estate holdings and apartments. And
I think you're going to be absolutely wildly successful at it, by the way.
It's something that I'm really interested in doing. And, but anyways, so I spend, how many hours? I spent like 10 hours on Sunday.
All of them, all the hours. There's not enough in a day.
It's just the next skill that I want to learn. It's just a new thing that I'm trying to learn. And I get obsessed with it. But I was reading today, and it's interesting thinking about the common man or woman and how they're just not willing to see their part in their own financial success. They're just not willing to see that it's their responsibility to make the choice to learn the same information that's available to me or to anyone else. And when I saw that, I'm like, what makes somebody not want that? What makes somebody not want to be successful for whatever that looks like to them? Maybe they don't want $1 billion. Maybe somebody wants to make fucking 100,000. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. The point is, it comes down to a choice.
Choice once again.
So I don't even know if this podcast might have been all over the place, but as I sit here,
it was a little.
What's that?
I said it was a little, but that's all right.
It is what it is, man. And but it's a choice we made. It's what I wanted to talk about, and that's what it is about doing more shit that makes me feel good. I mean, my letter today to the team was like, I'm not happy.
Choice, and question everything all the time, right? I think those are like, if we can tie anything together with this whole thing, it is choice and question everything all the time. Even 19, 18-year-old Kendra sitting in a computer room in Afghanistan. Like, why am I feeling this way? If you could just literally slow down and ask yourself questions. Okay, why am I feeling this way? Can I look at this a different way? Why do I think success only looks this way? Is there other options of success? Why do I feel like this is the only way? What else do I need to handle? Like, just question everything. Why wouldn't you, right? Make the choice and question everything. That ties it kind of together.
When you make the choice, let me just give you guys out there that may actually take the call to action from this one. That's a great call to action. Question everything. But here's what happens when you make the fucking choice to question everything and you truly commit to it. You're going to realize that everything you know, everything you think, people in your circle are not real or they are fake. And they don't have your back.
The only person who's got your back is yourself.
And you can have people that love you and have your back, right? But at the end of the day, right, like, you are in control of everything you do today. This is kind of all over the place. I was looking at one of the posts I put out today for 7 years ago, and some dude's like, God is good. God is great. You know, he did this for you. Yo, I did this shit.
I did this for me. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Doesn't mean I don't believe in God, but I fucking took action every single day to not feel like a loser.
I mean, it's kind of, not that we need to get off on like a religious spin on this, but if he wanted to say that, then you could have just been like, yeah, and God also put the beer in my hand for 6 years too. Like, right? He only wants to say God is good because now you're better. But what about God putting, like, if you really wanted to go that way, because
I never get into that because I do, you know, I'm very spiritual in things and I study stuff like that. But like, it's just interesting how people are willing to give up everything that they've done the work for something that they've never seen, which is great to have an amazing amount of faith in something, but they overlook the fact that they can have faith in themselves too. So did God have a hand in my journey? Probably. Absolutely. Absolutely. But nobody was like, I can get up right now and kick these fucking cameras over. Nothing's stopping me.
No.
Right?
Right. I think for me, when I think of God, I think of it as not like a person. I think of it as literally everything. Like, it's very vast, it's another conversation for definitely another time.
This conversation, the reason I wanted to do this podcast was just because a couple things, man. Like, you just don't expect things to be easy. Don't expect the change to be constant without consistent action. If you want more, get more. Go fucking get it. Allow yourself to expand your mind and think bigger every day. Love the wife that you have and honor her, or the girlfriend or the kids, the family that you have. Honor them every day. Put so much definitive belief and just desire into them every day that you get up and you go do it for them, but ultimately for yourself. And keep making better choices. It isn't even about drinking. It's about life every day. And I don't know what life's going to look like in 30 years from now. I don't know how successful I'm going to be or if I'm not going to be successful. But I know today I choose to maximize it. And so when you choose to maximize the days, sometimes it is very fucking hard. The question is, do you want to face the hard, or do you want to live a small, simple, woe is me, I'm a bitch life?
Well said.
I think that's all I got for this episode.
I think that's all that should be said.
That's it for today's episode. See y'all next week.